Boggert,
Yes?
had a ship arrive and they want to take a tour of the museum. I don't know if you're up for it.
I'm fine if you are.
All right, we'll do it.
Oddities.
Are you in denial? Because I don't see anything.
Any trees here? I think you're living on a desolate island and you're trying to convince yourself that it's flourishing.
That's a bit hot here. Perhaps I should spend more time under the docks than on them.
It's okay, a little bit more alcohol will help you along the way.
Oh,
I won't
hello.
dehydrate you. Hello.
My name's Boggert Slime. My sister
Hi.
said that you were interested in a tour.
Yes, of the museum? Oh my god, we would love to do like a tour. Love
Okay. Can you give us 5 minutes? I need to turn on some
Yes,
candles
definitely.
and make sure things are prepped and ready.
100%. Yeah, take your time.
Okay.
Oh, Mr. Slime, what's the admission fee?
5 gold.
Oh, that would be nice. But we take donations.
Okay.
If you
Okay.
feel like it's a good value, we take donations of any kind.
Okay. I figured it wouldn't hurt to ask since it is after all.
Yeah, welcome to come along. We're ready to give the tour now if you're ready to.
Oh, Mr. Slime asked for 5 minutes.
It's slow walk.
Yeah. You do fine. Yeah, you've had a couple of groups through, I believe, haven't you?
Just the one. I was slept late today, so I wasn't here for the tours.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a bit. How have you been? Has everything been all right?
I've been good. I worked a little hard, so I had to sleep for a few days.
Right, that's understandable. Some people don't really understand how much rest their body needs, and they tend to push themselves a bit hard. It's good to see you learn that young.
That's true. You remember talking to me about that shipyard? Well,
We'll
I
take a
took down that
break,
schooner
I'll
I
be right
had
back.
built
2 minutes.
in the shipyard, and then made a new one and put it up. I think the new one's a little truer and a little straighter. Should have a better beam.
Through it. Now you've got a bit more understanding of it. I'm sure you can make things better from here on out. Don't say anything. I think I'm going to slide out there and I'll be back in shortly. Now, Boggert, are you here? Now, Boggert, I'm just going to slide out the back. I'll be back shortly.
Welcome to the BoggOdd Oddities Museum. Someone will be with you shortly.
Elias. Yeah, that's us. That's me and my brother, Boggert. This painting above the other sign is of Elias. Elias is our employee of the month here at BoggOdd Oddities Museum. Did you know another Elias? We've met a captain.
Hi, Captain Brother.
Yeah, we thought they might be related since they have the same name. You know, people who are related have the same name a lot of times. Yeah, Elias is a very good shipwright. He's made all the ships for us here at the Oddities Museum.
Very nice. Maybe that's what you and your long-lost brother have in common.
Maybe I'll meet him again one day.
Yeah, I believe.
Elias, would you consider yourself delicious?
What?
What?
What in the world?
I think I'm more tasty than delicious.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, there we go.
That's a very honest opinion. I like it.
Sorry, I was just making small talk. I'm not very good at it.
Clearly.
Alright, if we're ready, we'll go ahead and begin your tour here today. I see that Boggert has joined us.
Yeah, everything's ready to roll.
Alright, Leave your preconceived notions of the normal world at this very threshold, and enter the world of the mysterious, the unusual, and the odd at BoggOdd Oddities Museum. By entering the museum, you agree management not responsible for any and all incidents herein, including, but not limited to, any pushing, shoving, falling, tripping, or ending up in any sort of display, water, graves, or the sort.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can shove Kai and it'll be fine?
Please step lively into the next chamber.
Right this way. We'll begin our tour here, just on your right as you enter the museum.
Ooh. There is
Wait,
a
in the
cheese
cheese
shop.
shop?
I knew there was
There is a cheese
cheese
shop,
in
yeah.
school.
I will be closing the door so that people won't interrupt the tours. But if anybody needs to get out of the building, just see me and I'll let you out.
Oi!
Yes, if
No.
you need out, just scream.
Okay, I'm good at that.
Right, we'll do.
A blood
not, but
curdling
we'll-
scream would be nice.
At a blazing hot tropical Freeport, there stood a quiet specialty cheese shop at the end of an alley. You're probably questioning, is it appropriate to locate a cheese shop in the melting hot heat? The answer is no. Not because of the heat, however. It was because of the feral cats. The cats had taken to begging at the cheese shop. As patrons were leaving, they would kindly drop a crumb or two, leading the cats to wait for the next patron. Eventually, the roof support beams groaned and popped under the weight of waiting cats. The shop owner attempted to shoo them away at first, but then realized the cats would not touch the crumbs of the most pungent of cheeses. A patron remarked to them, "It's so hot today, the stone walls are almost sizzling." As the patron rounded the corner, the shop owner sprang into action. Gathering the most pungent cheeses, they pressed them into the burning hot wall, where they melted on, sticking them to the stonework. It really did work. For the cats, the stench of the cheese was so intense that they fled to the far side of the island. The shop owner rested well that evening until suddenly the roof's support beams began to creak and groan. Running out into the dark to chase the cats off the roof, the shop owner caught a glimpse of them in the moonlight. The cats first turned their eyes and then their beaks toward the shop owner. It's then that the shop owner realized the roof was covered not in cats, but in starving vultures.
Gosh.
The wall still has the smell of cheese. If you're welcome to sniff if you like.
I love cheese. I'll sniff it.
I'm gonna
Those are the
pass on
most
that.
pungent of cheeses pressed into the wall here.
Hold on. Oh yeah.
God.
That smells delicious. I love those like really stinky cheeses. You know, they're really. Oh yeah, that's got some funk to
I
it.
can't with you, Finn, right now. Oh my god, what?
Why not? Smell it. It smells good. Smell like cheese.
It smells like your feet.
Here we have our next oddity on the tour.
Oh.
The Great Northern Factory disaster took place on a particularly cold, dark, rainy evening. The main source of heat in the frozen north was a giant fireplace located below the smokestack here in front of us. The factory backed up to a large rock mountain, and the entrance to a great coal mine was built off of the factory down into the depths of the mountain. The top of the mountain was a known habitat for an assortment of different animals. The employees of the factory found a particularly large snake roasting on the coals late one afternoon and proceeded to prepare it for the dinner pot. It wasn't unusual for someone to bring in what they had to share, although no one could determine who had brought in the snake. They made a feast of the snake anyhow and went back to work. As evening grew colder and darker, they placed more and more coal into the fire. What no one realized is that the snake deliciously roasting on the fire had chased a rather plump sheep from mountaintops. The snake and sheep had both fallen over the edge and landed on top of the smokestack above us. The snake fell further down into the coals below, but the sheep was wedged into the smokestack high above the factory. The toxic smoke had already weakened most of the workers to the point they could no longer get out by the time that the panic began. All but 3 workers were killed in the tragedy, and the death toll was said to be near 458 lives. It would remain the largest number of people killed by a sheep for at least 2 more decades.
Oh shit, that's bad.
No. What was the incident that took this incident of most deaths by a sheep?
Don't really know. We're very confused as to what it was ourselves. We just know that something else happened. We're still looking for that story, however. We'll figure it out eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perhaps it was a very bad sheep pun.
It could have been.
Oh shit, I almost caused tragedy, didn't I?
We don't know the ripples of your joke so far. We don't know how far they're gonna reach.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Above us here is a certified giraffe examination chair. It has been placed here as a public service by the Giraffe Handlers Association. When a giraffe needs to be examined for multiple reasons, it is easier to inspect them from closer to their height. The doctor will climb up the chair, and the giraffe will be brought closer for inspection purposes. What type of inspection, you may ask? Well, one purpose is to inspect whether the giraffe have the giraffe-like teeth or whether they have the less common human-like teeth. But the far more common reason is to see if the ears have been laid with spider eggs again. As giraffe ears are known to be the perfect habitat for spider eggs, laying eggs in the giraffe's warm ear hairs, they lie forgotten until the time comes for their hatching. If you have giraffes, tame or wild, near your home, be sure that they are not shaking their heads frequently. This is the first sign the spider egg laying has occurred. If your giraffes around your home have ears infested with spider eggs, the time will come that they will hatch, and the giraffe's head shaking will deposit the freshly hatched hatchlings all around and throughout your home.
I don't like spiders.
Well,
Okay, listen, I don't hate spiders, but I also don't like spiders.
That's
Also,
why
we have a lot of giraffes on our island.
We
here.
do.
You have giraffes on your island? Well, be sure to watch them closely and make sure they're not shaking their head a lot. If they're shaking their head frequently, it could already be the spiders are there.
Oh,
Our
Yeah.
bedroom's very giraffe height, I want to add as well.
don't say that.
No.
Bed could be crawling with spiders at this point. We wouldn't even know.
Can
We
you
could
like,
come back any night and there could be spiders in there.
No, stop, Kai. Like,
Oh,
if
sorry,
we
sorry.
preemptively, kill the giraffes, will that take care of the spider issue, or is it too late by then?
Probably could. It'll stop the sprinkling when they do hatch and the giraffes continue to shake the head side to side. It can shake all the hatchlings around your area. If the spiders are dead, or if the giraffes are dead, the spiders are less likely to be sprinkled around.
Okay, that's good. We gotta kill them all. We have to kill them all, guys.
Alright,
All of them.
but if you see a spider, they have already seen you at least a mile away, and they're already running towards you. So just be watchful of spiders.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a scary. It's a scary museum. I didn't know it was a scary museum.
There's
What's
some
that on your
scary stuff
shoulder?
in here.
Stop it.
Oh, sorry.
Ow, ow, what the fuck, man? What the fuck?
In a far-off kingdom, a rotten king reigned supreme. He was known to frequently decide he had been slighted and place people in prison to be punished or worse. The king unexpectedly ordered a particularly complicated feast from his chef Arthur in the middle of the night. The chef and the kitchen staff worked frantically as they tried, as tired as they were, to create a culinary masterpiece. The feast was a triumph, and the king later sent word to see if he may speak with the chef. Word arrived very early in the morning. The king would be to the kitchens within the hour, and the kitchen staff readied themselves for his visit. The king arrived with his guards and quietly toured the kitchens as he thoroughly inspected many things. Nothing was said, and the king looked at his guards as he approached the exit and simply nodded at them. The king's guards proceeded to destroy the kitchens. Mostly the pots, pans, and kitchen tools were damaged. The guards turned to the chef and said, The king would like you to know he is displeased with last night's feast. You forgot to serve sea salt instead of salt with his meal. The chef was aghast, however, for he knew he had served sea salt as he had prepared it himself. He only said "aye" before he was cut off. They told him that he was removed from the king's staff, and he'd be placed in prison to await his punishment. The king felt assured mistakes would no longer be made in his kitchen, and as a test, a few weeks later, he had a new feast prepared for the opening of the Knights Tournament, at the end of which a victorious knight stood remaining. The king, however, was once again unhappy. You see, he had been slighted again, and his favorite knight did not win. So he rushed toward the knight, dagger in hand. The knight flicked away the dagger, but gave the king what the king had intended for the knight. The king now removed from life and power, the knight made their way to the throne and were seated. The shocked crowd dropped the facade of reverence for the old king, and warmly greeted a new powerful leader. The guards, also shocked but no longer hiding their contempt for the rotten king, said, "All hail the new king," to which the entrant removed the helmet and said, "Queen." "All hail the new queen," said the guards. "What would you have us do, your majesty?" they asked. "Firstly, King Arthur, the chef from the prisons." Arthur approached the new queen and quietly asked, "Daughter, what has happened? And are those my pots and pans you're wearing?" "It's time to explain it all," she said. "They sent them to me at the blacksmith shop to repair them. You see, they didn't know I was your daughter." She smiled pleasantly at her father, and they both waved towards the crowd over the tournament field, the cold, dead body of the former king. She turned to him and she said, "Father, you always said your pots and pans would bring us such good fortune. You just didn't know how right you were."
Aww. It was like a happy one, kind of. Not for the king, the old king, but you know.
Ah, the old rotten king.
Yeah, he had it coming. It's fine.
As we go into the next room, do not panic. Everything's under control, and in case of an emergency, we'll show you the nearest exit.
Don't panic at all. It's a fire that looks like a fire. It's fine.
Okay. Oh wow, that really does look real.
Fires look like fires, but I'm not an expert.
Wow. Really cool.
Thank you.
Great.
On a roasting hot desert island, it rarely rained. House fires were happening frequently. And to help combat the fires, the residents used what they had to craft 2 fire carts. These carts, each pulled by best rhinosaur the island could breed, were filled with water and pulled from location to location. Raspberry the monkey, found wandering an island used as a turtle habitat, was a pet of the head of the fire cart haulers. Out on one of their first patrols, they discovered something unusual. Raspberry had previously been trained to pull a cart. They decided that given his constant insistence that he be handed the reins, Raspberry would be trained to drive the rhinosaur of cart number 2. This worked more than well. Raspberry was already a complete natural at cart handling, needing no instruction at all. They even crafted a small seat just for him. This allowed the others to focus more on the fires, and months passed with the cars racing to fire after fire, Raspberry excitedly guiding the cart all the way, every time. But one afternoon, after a particularly difficult morning of fighting a long series of arduous fires, the bell rang out again. It was time to ready the carts, and Raspberry could not be located. The head of the fire cart haulers went to Raspberry's room and found the monkey sleeping in bed. Knowing that the poor creature must have been exhausted after the terrible morning's fires that they had a member of the fire cart haulers pull the reins instead. They left without poor tired Raspberry to head to the fire. Along the way, they spotted an unreported house fire and slowed cart number 2 to water that before catching up to cart number 1. While spraying the house down, the front door burst open and a soaking wet Raspberry, extinguished torch in hand, emerged. Not believing that Raspberry could be both asleep and at the scene of the fire, his bed was checked. Neatly shaped and arranged was a pair of trousers made to look like a sleeping Raspberry the monkey. Raspberry was good at a great many things, cart hauling and deception being some of his greatest talents. He was returned to the offices of the Turtle Sanctuary, where he was found, to retire from his very busy life. The fire stopped overnight, and the fire cart haulers were quiet, until one afternoon a flare was fired and a representative from a neighboring island had arrived wanting advice on fire carts, for they had been plagued with fires recently. They also needed a small seat in the front. They had the oddest thing, you see, a monkey who knew how to drive a cart.
Wow. That's a really cool monkey. How come Scarlet can't drive a car?
Because Scarlet's dead.
Oh, that's true. That does,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Scarlet is dead. Like, I mean, we're kind of near where we lost her. Maybe we could.
All right this way to the next display.
Okay. I think we could have trained Scarlet.
No, this is not a tavern filled with delicious libations. In fact, if you had been here 50 years ago, you would be dead. It was an unusual long time ago to place additives into spirits to give them an interesting flavor, be it bitter, sweet, or bittersweet. It was an unusually crowded evening the night before and would be again at a combination inn and tavern. The tavern keep was far too busy to go for the ingredients for the note to add to the drink for the next
Coming in
evening.
with a raid, it's have a heart.
The tavern keep's sibling was sent to pick up the rare, delicious, sweet ingredient, Magistine. The herbologist, however, was also out, and in their stead, their apprentice was working. The assistant herbologist mistook the requested Magistine for the more common pest remover, Maggot Stem. Nearly identical in both appearance and flavor, coupled with the unfortunate similarity in name, the switch was made. The Maggot Stem was delivered to the tavern and used to give the tavern's libations their signature sweetness. As is custom with a spirit house, attached to overnight accommodations, the drink poured heavily and quickly. Give me just 1 second.
Sure.
The hallucination began an hour into the evening. The vomiting began shortly thereafter. Ingestion of maggot stem is said to produce hallucinations such as liquid running down the walls, inanimate objects breathing, skies filled with flying animals, and the taking of human form for animal. The chaos of the visions, coupled with the vomiting, began a putrid battle inside the tavern where all fought for their very lives. Any who made it outside were driven back inside by the visions they saw in the skies. Those victors who survived the vomitous battle were said to have lain unconscious on these very floorboards until their hearts slowed to death.
Oh my gosh. Is that made out of, like, maggots? The stuff?
I don't think it was. I think it had some sort of unusual flavor, some sort of unusual note, and therefore it may have tasted something like, I don't know, something unusual.
Ah. Okay. Oh. Way much more scary if it was made out of maggots, because I don't like maggots either. I just don't like overall insects.
You like worms in your tequila.
I don't like worms in my tequila. It was just like,
Yeah,
the worms are in tequila.
Yeah, and you like it. You drink it, don't you?
Not the worms.
I don't know, man.
If you've been to a hot, humid, tropical island, you know all too well the heat can be unrelenting.
Yeah, we live in one.
Oh, no. Well, be careful. 2 elderly brothers were looking for their lost goat near their home when they stumbled upon something unusual, a very large, abandoned well. The well had run low in water, but the inside had a beautiful pool left at the bottom. The brothers knelt beside the well's lid, and when they flopped it downwards, they could feel the cool, refreshing air blow past them. They thought about and discussed the well the remainder of the day and night. They awoke the next day with a plan to put a ladder down the well to see what was inside. They slipped from the final ladder rung into the cool, dark water and enjoyed the most luxuriously pleasant soak in neck-high, perfectly chilled water. The water drained a bit more over time, and now instead of floating, they had to kneel or sit on the bottom of the well. This did not suit the aging frames very well. They began to talk once again of a new plan. It was decided to make the well a bit more comfortable. They moved in some furniture, using ropes and the goat, which was finally found in time, to lower things down from the hatch above us here. This would be their final plan. Their friend who knew of the well and, having not seen the brothers for some time, began to worry and look for them. When they approached the well, they could already tell something was wrong. The scent of mold and mildew and the end of life met their friend before the well. Well, you see, as the brothers were soaking in the cool, damp richness of the well, their furniture was as well. The introduction of the furniture began a growth of mold and mildew and rot that first tainted the well and then outright poisoned it. As the furniture was slowly mildewing and molding from the outside, the cool, damp, dark back of the chairs was growing a deadly fungus. Before that fungus was discovered, it had already started to emit toxic spores, which filled the well and the two elderly brothers.
Ooh, that's unfortunate. It looks really nice down there.
It's nice and cool, and I can imagine how nice and wonderfully pleasant a nice, cool well would be down in the dark and wet down below.
So true.
Be careful if you find any.
That's a shame. We should learn from their mistakes and not use, I don't know, like fabric upholstery.
That's right.
But if you ever have a need to fix upholstery, Mr. C is located in town, and he works on upholstery.
Oh, that's
Good to know. Good to know. Thank you.
Have an upholstery cleaner right in the town next door. Far beneath a beautiful country estate lie a strange fate for those unfortunate enough to have encountered a pair of mad, noble women. They had a secret which would have run the blood cold of those in the aristocratic circles they kept themselves in. The mad women had developed an unusual diet preference. Human toenails. Half-hearted soldier, drunken sailor, or sea wench, they preyed upon them all. They went into the dark night to round up their victims. They would wait outside tavern and dance hall for those inebriated enough not to put up a fight. A bag over their head and about 6 spins around was usually enough to knock out even the stoutest person when they had been plied with enough drink. They would be locked into these chambers here on each side of me, and their feet scrubbed, cleaned, and the toenails carefully trimmed so as not to waste any of the most precious resource. I know what you're all thinking. Why did the sisters not just pull the toenails out at the root? After all, it's the sensible thing to do. Well, the sisters weren't monsters. They were just very hungry. So hungry. Each victim awakened, dumped on the outskirts of town, shoeless, sockless, pants rolled all the way to their knee, but the feet were beautifully scrubbed, and the toenails had been perfectly trimmed. The sisters were caught. They eventually mistook a pair of sleepy officers for inebriated and were overcome by the officers. Threatening to have their toenails pulled out at the root themselves, it is the sensible thing to do. The sisters confessed to the entire ruse. Afterward, they fell out of grace and from high society. They took on new identities later, where they began to work in a wash house, where they had the task of trimming the nails of those who came to bathe, thereby continuing to feed their insane and insatiable hunger.
Huh. I mean, at least they were doing it in a good way, you know?
I like this one.
Yeah.
I don't like feet. I don't like toenails. I was very close to barfing, I'll be honest.
You're a burp. Did you?
Did
No.
you say barfing or burping?
No party.
Oh,
Well, some people pay good money for that stuff now.
I think both.
I decided no.
Please don't be sick in the well. It's had enough. It's had enough. It doesn't want any more.
Yeah, we had an incident once.
It's had enough.
Does anybody have food real quick? Sorry.
What do you
Yes.
need?
I need a lot of things.
Just
Okay, I
please-
only have beans.
we usually make it right to here. Come
I
with
just
me.
have beans.
Why you have beans? That's why you're
I
burping.
have beans and whiskey.
Here we go. Almost made it this far each time, But there's always the mermaid display makes everyone so hungry.
Oh, I
Yes.
know. Yeah, there was just something about it. It just really got me hankering for something.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
popcorn. Popcorn.
I'm in the
Anybody for
same boat.
popcorn?
Right this way. Enjoy. There's food, beverage, snacks. There's some popcorn in there if you like the popped corn. You're welcome to it.
Made with swill butter.
Oh, yeah, we have to learn about this silk stuff still. Whatever it is, it's delicious.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
God.
I guess I wasn't the only one that was hungry.
Doesn't look like it. Everyone likes the popped out corn, however.
Yeah, it's real good.
Right. Is everyone returned now?
I think there's still one more.
Right, we can wait.
Yeah, there he is.
I'm here.
All right, if you're not here, say you're not here. All right, I think we're ready. A new beautiful island Freeport was too close to the deep water ocean trench. The frequent ship traffic to and from the island had angered the residents of the deep waters. Many different creatures made their way out of the depths to investigate the new disturbance, as the swirling waters mixed warm water down into the formerly cool trench, as well as introducing new types of detritus down into the depths. Mermaids from the trench seemed to grow much angrier, becoming a constant menacing presence in the waters. To teach citizens defensive tactics to protect themselves against the angry mermaids, as well as to ensure people would not fear nearing their profitable Freeport, the Freeport opened a training institute just off the shore. Seen before you here are the standard issue training form, as well as the specialized mermaid training form, developed at the institute. Normally housed in deeper water, it was used to teach citizens techniques to avoid or defend against angry mermaids. The mermaids seemed to realize something was occurring at the Freeport, and they really began to increase their violence. Eventually, they began to investigate the institute itself, making their way to the shoreside where the training forms were stationed. Instead of damaging the training forms, however, the mermaids began to study them. They possibly believed them to be figures in reverence of themselves. It is believed that they took this as a sign the mermaid was a respected neighbor and led them to stop their attacks completely. Unintentionally, the forms worked to protect the citizens. No one trained to defend themselves against mermaids ever had to, and the mermaid forms were left in the waters as a sign of continued mutual respect. Luckily for the Freeport, the mermaids had not witnessed the defensive techniques used against these very forms.
Oh, sneaky, sneaky. Yeah. Okay.
Right?
This one. I didn't see this one. This one's not a spider, is it?
Well,
Maybe.
It looks like one.
Oh no. I'm gonna
very
hide behind.
Oh, a skilled blacksmith made a fortune on board a ship repairing the broken old wood stoves of a frozen polar region, a fortune he intended to keep to himself. Looking on the ship one day, he realized he had a dozen wood stoves that no one had claimed after they had been repaired. Needing to both remove the extra weight from the ship and also to find a more suitable place to keep his treasures safe, he left the polar region for a home on a warm elephant island. He owned a small piece of the island that included a swamp. The swamp was home to many horrendous beasts, the least of which were endless amounts of spiders. He knew the perfect location for a hideaway for his treasure trove was a well-hidden cavern on the edge of the swamp. You would never see it unless you had fallen into it. Covered in vines and growth, it was the perfect place, except it was home to thousands of very fast spiders. He knew spiders feared one thing above all others, a larger, faster spider. To attempt to stop the spiders from living in the cavern, as well as to add an additional shock should any unfortunate soul stumble into the caverns, he carted those old forgotten wood stoves down into the darkened mouth of the cavern to create this monstrosity here before you. Welding the stoves together and carving stone plinth from the cavern's rocks, he successfully created a gigantic spider to frighten all the other spiders, and the other spiders fled in fear, leaving him the freedom to place his treasure deep now into the delightfully spider-free cavern. He went back to making more and more treasure and readied himself for a return to the caverns. And upon his return, he was looking forward to a spiderless cavern after he had fought his way hard through all of the spiders located in the swamps. He arrived at the cavern to find it now filled not with spiders, but with elephants. It was bursting at the seams with elephants. They chased him from the entrance all the way back down to his ship, over and over. Well, you see, the only thing keeping those elephants out of the cavern were the spiders, and the only thing luring them deep into the cavern was the new multiple-armed scratching post that someone had placed there for them to use.
Oh, I don't know. I still want to make this, cool contraption to keep all those giraffe spiders away from my house.
Keep the spiders away. It's a good service to try to keep the spiders at bay. They multiply so fast.
Hey.
Here is what was once a beautiful, marvelous circus organ. The organ was a modern wonder, needing no one to play it, and in fact, having no keys. It produced sound through steam, with a series of reused water and stovepipes, and it could play the most beautiful melodies. It was pulled on 3 carts behind 3 elephants as the circus parade arrived in towns, playing all the while the beautiful music let the residents know the circus was arriving in town. The circus fell into ruin after the death of the ringmaster and owner. The ringmaster was thrown higher than high wire act one evening by a pair of elephants looking to escape circus life. The audience, seeing this tragedy unfold, sent out warnings to all they knew: avoid the circus at all risk of peril. The organ was purchased at an auction of items from the circus by a group of ne'er-do-wells with a plan. They would travel with this reassembled pipe organ port to port, playing friendly melodies for tips throughout the day, and they would quieten as the shops closed and people headed to the neighboring homes. Then, in the late hours of the evening, they would stoke the fires of the steam heater until they were raging. The beautiful music, produced with gentle steam pressure, now became a howling, screeching, clangorous noise. This caused the residents to flee their homes in terror, and horses and animals battered their stalls, not knowing what type of beast was capable of such horrendous noise. The ne'er-do-wells would slow the fires eventually, but only so they could issue a proclamation. The fires would be stoked repeatedly until the township was able to come up with a predetermined fee to pay the ne'er-do-wells to leave their port in peace. The ne'er-do-wells landed in a port as usual one afternoon. They played their beautiful music until the shops closed and the residents began to leave, and then they waited. And they went to the box on the top deck to get the wood to stoke the fires. Instead of the residents being quietly asleep as usual, the entire town was standing row after row, lining the edge of the harbor, staring directly at their vessel. The water was already flowing into the ship by the time the ne'er-do-wells could react. See, the residents had already been made aware of an approaching ship 2 days prior, and they had already formed a plan of their own. The pipe organ was dismantled and trod upon, resulting in the warped, discolored pipes that you hear before you today.
Aw, what a shame. Kai, you could have played it. You're so good at the accordion. You probably would have been good at that, too.
I don't think so.
No?
I
Damn.
think there's like 2 different, instruments.
Yeah,
Really? I thought they were kind of similar.
that thing's a lot bigger than an accordion.
Like way different.
Oh, well, shit.
Yeah.
Powered accordion, imagine that. Ugh.
I think it would sound beautiful.
Let us wait till the next exhibit. Be careful not to fall into the grave.
Oh, yeah, I tried not
down
to
there,
fall into
friendly?
graves frequently. No.
Below us lies the coffin of the final husband of the widow of Shallow Creek. She was called the widow because she had buried 12 husbands, 11 of whom were deceased. She begged for help from the townspeople. She said she was being haunted by the vengeful ghost of her most recent husband. The widows of the town vowed to help one of their own. They formed a group which would sit in the home of the widow while she tried to rest. It was a quick rotation, however, for you see they all eventually stared straight again into the eyes of the man they used to know. Each night someone sat with her. Just before the skies began to lighten, there was a shuffling behind them. One after another, the widows fled the still darkened, creaking home. Once that group was exhausted, the widow still pleaded for help. The young single men were sent next, as they were thought to be less prone to fright. It was the same story, however. They all ran for their lives after gazing into the eyes of the dead man. The oldest woman in town, thought far too frail, asked, "May I go next?" She sat forward, next to the warm fire in a chair at the widow's home, her eyes closed, her back to the room, when the ghost appeared. His long, bony fingers reaching, clawing, slid up over the back of the chair and around the woman's frail, thin neck. From outside the home, a blood-curdling scream that chased wolves back to their dens was cut short. The townsfolk worried for the frail lady, but humoring her had kept their ears open in case she called. A number of them reached the steps of the cabin at the same time, and they clambered to the front door, flinging it open. Standing tall, over 2 bodies, was the frail, old woman. What no one realized is that the oldest woman in town was also the wisest. Unable to sleep well in the cold evening due to her old cold bones, she slept during the warm daylight hours. But every night, while she sat awake, she watched the supposedly dead husband of the widow of Shallow Creek creep through home after home in town. For you see, as people went to sit with the terrified widow, her very much alive husband was looting the houses of those who were coming there to try to help her. He would arrive later, scare them back to their homes, and show the widow what he had taken. The oldest woman in town, however, went prepared. She had a rolling pin in her sleeve to expose the ruse of the widow of Shallow Creek.
Wow. All ladies are so smart. I hope to be that smart sometime. Thanks, Kai.
Any questions so far, Joe?
No, I'm just loving it so far.
Yeah,
We'll
very good.
continue. Deep in prison lay a cold, dark, windowless cell. The guard routinely traversed the corridors. One prisoner that they did plan on having, and didn't know the history of, was a magician trained in the art of lock-picking. Picking the lock came easily enough, but getting out of the area proved much more difficult, as the cell was at the end of a long U-shaped corridor. The prisoner had nothing but time to plan, however, as they sat waiting. Day in, day out, they watched the guards, and they finally thought of their perfect plan. The guards always took the same pathway through the loop, and they realized they could never go towards the guards, or they would definitely be seen. But if they could go out ahead of the guards, they may be able to make it out of the prisons ahead of them. One problem, though, was their bed would surely be found empty, as they were on their way to the exit and freedom, and that would raise the alarm bell.
Oh.
In an effort to fool the guards, they began to put away slices of bread and sausages in their pillowcase. The plan was nearly ruined twice. On unplanned laundry days, they had to gorge themselves on their stashed away food so it would not be found. Finally, on a dark, moonless night, it was dark enough for the plan to work. They neatly arranged the old bits of breads and sausages to form a vague figure in the cell, just enough that the guards would see what appeared to be a body asleep in the bed, and it would give the prisoner time to slip away. The plan went smoothly, and the prisoner was able to escape perfectly. The guards eventually discovered the ruse, however, and knowing how the head of the guards was quick to anger, and knowing what they now had to do with this evidence, they sat down for a most unwanted feast. You're welcome to step forward and take a look at the pretend body that the prisoner was able to create using sausages and bread.
Oh wow.
Oh wow. It's quite.
You know, they should have just hired the monkey that was really good at deception.
Oh, that's true. The monkey could have had some sort of fun, you never know.
Yeah.
No, I could never. I would just eat it all.
Yeah, me too.
I would just stay in prison and eat.
All right this way to the next display.
I don't want to disturb your sleep. Are you sleeping? I can leave.
I thought he was getting a massage.
Oh, we're just doing a display.
Oh, okay.
Here before us is the interior of the city office of the Butcher of Butterfly Lane, as he was later known. Shown on the table near you are the actual repurposed tools that he used. He fancied himself a dentist, and he was able to convince the local populace that he was legitimate. Using a plant known for hallucinogenic properties, he was able to cause patients to, in essence, mentally leave their bodies, while he tied their body to the bed here before you. He would then remove all of the teeth of the victim. By promising repairs to teeth, it was so much easier to convince them later that all of their teeth were bad and therefore no work which the dentist did not know how to do need be performed. Human teeth were a prized and highly valued form of carotenoid, similar to bone but with a much sturdier structure once it had been refined properly. The fraudulent dentist would leave his office early in the day, and that was thought odd by the community, considering how many of them desperately needed dental work. He had a nefarious reason for always leaving early. He was tainting the town's water supply with ground-up giant squid innards. The innards still contain the powerful acid that the squid used to break down the sharp shells that they ate during their feeding cycles, and even once ground up and dispersed throughout the water supply, there was enough acidic quality to weaken the teeth of the city dwellers to the point they needed the dental work, and thereby they supplied the dentist with the teeth he needed.
Oh. Oh my gosh.
I hate to interrupt, but does anyone have any berries and water, possibly?
Just put over there.
If we don't, there's food in the food barrels as well, if you need it.
Where
Right here.
Right this way.
Grab
Follow me.
them.
Food and beverage. We have a
Thank you
station.
so much.
Are we
Grab
so
whatever
hungry?
you need. There should be some beverages in there as well.
Yeah.
And there's a water barrel right here on the exit.
Everyone's through if you make your way back. We have another display to get to or two before we're getting close to the end now.
Oh no. What's the
Yes,
stories though?
we have a few more though.
Oh, good.
Alright, has everyone returned?
We're good. I'm so sorry. Thank you.
Oh, you're fine.
Damn,
If you're not,
so
you're not
disappointed.
here, say you're not.
Okay, fuck you.
Alright, I think we're ready.
Yeah.
We're ready, thank you.
In a remote cabin, something unusual happened. The owner of the cabin grew older and more tired. As the years were catching up to him, he felt he needed a way to bring vigor back into his life. He found a place where he could, for a price, order a tincture, promising to bring life back to him. He placed that order, and he gave his address and was told, wait 6 nights, and he would hear a loud bang on the door. He wasn't to look for the courier, only to wait quietly on the 6th night. On the arranged night, he sat patiently waiting. A loud bang was heard at the darkest portion of the night. Nearly jumping from his body, he realized only then he was a bit stronger still than he had realized. He waited a moment, opened the door to retrieve the package, bound in hides and tied to a large stone. He thought the bottle was unusually shiny, until he realized the shine was coming from inside the bottle as well. He swirled the bottle through his fingers and stared at the cork topper, and he thought of his plan, and he glanced up at the portrait of his loved one. He realized that the bottle may hold more than he bargained for. What if it turned back his aging? What if it stopped him from aging completely? Could he decide when he was through with this powerful tincture? He sighed. He realized now that he held the power in his hands, what he missed wasn't his youth. It was what was part of his youth, and that wasn't coming back to him. Angry, mostly at himself, he flung the bottle into the fireplace, coating the back of it. It grew and changed and roared like a tiger and spit flames across the room, eventually settling back into a normal fireplace once again. But he was left wondering, what magic was there in that tincture? And he vowed to himself he would never again try to recapture that which is meant to be left in the past.
You know, every time I get a year older, I keep looking back to the past. I feel like I would just keep opening that tincture.
Oh, it does have a nice glow to it.
You're right.
Quick, take it. No one's looking.
Oh, you're right.
A packed cargo freighter named the Sea Slicer sailed through a fog-shrouded sea. It lurched high and low through the sea's crates, groaning at its sides. On board amongst the crew stood a mere deckhand. As the ship passed through a shimmer, a mysterious event occurred. Every person, in fact every creature everywhere, disappeared, except for the deckhand. Calling out for anyone else, he realized he was totally alone. In fear for the crates, the contents, and the ship itself, the deckhand began to panic. He didn't understand the workings of the ship to get it under control, and without a crew to pull the sails and manage the ship wheel, it seemed like a task that he could not accomplish. "Hello, hello, help," he pleaded. His pleas were heard by the only other thing that inhabited the world. The figure stood just before him on the other side of the cabin door, but he could immediately tell the figure was not human. It had no facial features. In fact, it had no features at all. The ship continued to careen out of control, and just as the figure reached through the doorway, the ship crashed on the shore of a desolate island. The deckhand was thrown overboard and down into the water, just beside the shoreline. He ran from the ship, the figure, and the deckhand began to realize he wasn't breathing normally. With every breath he took, it grew shallower and shallower. The further he made it from the figure, the less he could breathe. The world grew darker and darker until he finally went unconscious. The deckhand awakened to find himself all the way back where his voyage had begun. But the crew, the ship, and the cargo were never seen again. They say the shimmer figure waits just over the shimmer for its next crew. Will you be the only one it spares, or will you be one of the ones it's never seen again?
Oh my gosh, I think I'd rather be one of the ones I've never seen again.
Sam?
Oh gosh, you're right, Sam! Oh no!
So what happened to Sam?
We lost one of our crew yesterday at
Sam.
sea. Maybe the shimmer creature got him.
What in the world? We heard it also hungers for shoulder pets and pets on board the
Oh,
deck.
Scarlet.
Scarlet!
Oh.
The Scarlet? What about the monkey you had yesterday, Flynn?
Oh, I didn't have a monkey yesterday.
Betty?
Yes, you did! Petty Betty!
What?
I don't remember ever having a monkey.
Yeah,
Yes.
I
Sam kind of
remember.
looks like a monkey as well.
And
doesn't
there's
he?
been other
Is this the
incidents.
Nile?
We've also heard other news from patrons of the museum. They said that they crossed the shimmer And when they arrived on the other side, there was another one of each of them waiting for them on the other side.
Oh my god.
When they got
Imposters. Yes.
when they got there, these imposters, so to speak, were all asleep, but were waiting.
Yeah.
We have
Jimmy had one of
that
That's
if this
fucking.
figure is waiting on the other side of the shimmer to take crew, it seems like this figure is also duplicating people in order to have even more crew.
That's which business that is.
And then replacing them with copies, and they're the ones that are now in this world.
Yeah.
Oh god.
How do I know you're not a copy?
How do I know you're not a copy?
They were all copies.
The people who jumped the shimmer, they said it was very important. They said that the people they encountered were from the past. It was the past version of them, and that when they got to the other side, they had to take the other crew's ship. There was no way they could continue on the ship of their own. They had to leave their ship behind and take the ship of the other crew.
Oh my god.
There's a lot of mystery lying on the other side of these shimmers lately. We want you to be very careful out there on the sea and take care.
Oh my gosh, we can never leave because we live in F3 and we have to go to a shimmer to get there.
We have to.
No, we live
it's
here
gonna be
now.
okay. It's gonna be fine.
Okay.
Right.
The next exhibit, please keep all arms on the do not reach through the bars.
And over here, don't reach through the bars.
Okay.
All right. The story of this printing press begins in the polar north. The freighter Frozen Sails was used to deliver ships to a far-flung polar research base where the Frozen Institute was located. On a slippery top deck of Frozen Sails, a crew member called out eerily, "Who's there?" And they heard voices in the fog crying. The calling out stopped the other crew, and they also soon enough heard it. It was enchanting voices, but they were calling out not in sorrow, but in song. By the time that the crew could raise the alarm, no one wanted to any longer. Below decks, a sleeping crew member who would be on a late shift was awakened. They were slid out of the bed and across the sleeping quarters. Just as the crew member made it halfway out of the top side, the sails sitting now untended whirled and snapped violently in the wind. The heeling of the ship was so intense that crew members who were not already overboard were dumped overboard. The crew member was awestruck with what they were watching. The crew member had plugged their ears with rolled cotton to stop loud crew members from waking them, and they were now oblivious to the sound coming from the ocean. But they knew in an instant what was happening. They were under the attack of the Siren's song. The masts, weakened by the whirling and forceful snapping, groaned and gave way. They crashed down through the decks below and severely damaged the ship in the process. The crew member climbed into a dinghy, lowered it, and looked around as nearby crew members sickeningly dove down into the now still blue frozen abyss. The survivor rode and rode for hours in the frozen earth until they reached land. They staggered onto the frosty shores, called out, and collapsed. They had made it to the Frozen Institute, and they would very soon be found. The same cannot be said for the Frozen Sails and her other crew, who drifted deeper and deeper into the darkened, frozen depths. The survivor decided to print a book to tell the tale of that horrendous day, and use the boards from the dinghy that they survived in to make a printing press behind me to print the book on. It is said that the sea sirens placed a curse on the dinghy boards that day because they did not get the chance to clear the ocean completely. The now cursed printing press before you can at times call out to those nearby to climb into its gnashing jaws. It is rumored to have eventually devoured the crew member who created it, and are left wondering now, is it satisfied, or will it strike again?
Oh, back away, I'm scared.
But we need to...
Whoa.
No, we have our own printing press, it's not cursed.
That brings us to our last oddity here at BoggOdd Oddities Museum. if you'll
Please.
stand near the doorways here.
Oh my.
Oh,
By
wow.
God.
What the?
Oh. Oh.
Sarah, the
I'm gonna
oddity
throw up.
Itch Meadow Farm. Born during a hurricane, it is believed that this cow was born mid-air, but the wrong way around. She has now been utterly convinced that she is standing the right way up and cannot be corrected. She does not use her hooves, and instead she drags herself along with her horns and wiggles side to side like a serpent to get around. She is able to see the berries on the underside of the berry bush that the other animals miss. So we think maybe this could be a new adaptation of a species in order to fill a void. Her hooves must be fired down regularly, as she does not wear them down naturally. She produces what her original owners at the farm referred to as the wrong way milk, in that it comes out the wrong way around. We here refer to it as swilk. It is said that by not hanging down into the others and cooling off, the milk stays hotter for longer, and it produces a much sweeter, more mature milk with a caramel-flavored undertone that is
Ooh,
prized
I taste it.
over regular milk.
My God.
Interesting. Yeah, try it out.
That's what's full
Try it out. Try it out.
Oh.
Try it out.
Yes, there's a couple of bottles there
Go
in the
try it.
suitcase.
Go try it. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I'm gonna try it.
Silverbard.
It's very good. Off
my
and off.
It's really
I am
sweet.
not gonna try that.
No, try it, Kai.
You should.
Oh,
You
I-
should.
no,
Go
no.
try it. Come on, Kai. Don't be
No, I'm gonna
shy.
stand next to
Really
the
worth
punch
it.
bowl.
Kai.
It's alright.
Good.
And our
Go
milk
try
is very
it.
clean. We clean our milk before we give it to anyone.
Go try it. Don't be
You
shy.
should waste your milk if you're drinking any outside of here as well. As you can see, the udder remains in a more
There you go.
cleanly
Come-
position
try
on
it.
this cow.
Just
However, with
try
the
it.
average cow, the udder hangs into a more lowly, filthy position. So just make sure to wash your milk before consuming it.
Yes.
But if you wash the milk, does it get like watered down? Because you gotta like, pour
Yeah.
water on it to clean it?
No, you don't have to put the water on it. You just rub it against itself in order to clean it.
Yeah,
And that
Oh.
removes a lot of the dirt from it, you see.
yeah. You don't
Oh.
stir it either. If you stir it too much, it turns into butter.
Oh, yeah, that could definitely
True.
happen. And if you keep going, it could even be whipped cream, which is delicious, but not milk.
No, don't overdo it. You're welcome to take a step in and take a close look at her if you like.
Yeah. Hi. How's it going upside down?
This is
So cute. Can I give her a little pet?
what?
Sure, you're welcome to.
No, I'm not gonna touch that thing. It freaks me out.
Pet.
Oh,
I
right in
touched
the
her
udder.
udder. I'll
Oh.
take a leg. Oh, sorry. I don't mean to touch her udder. That might be rude. Oh, sorry.
How'd you feel if a cow came up and touched your udder?
Sorry. I didn't mean it.
That
Oh.
concludes our tour here today at BoggOdd Oddities Museum. We hope you were able to find some strange, some odd, and some unusual things here, and we hope you remember your warnings as you take back to the seas.
Yes, I'm gonna kill every giraffe I see. That was my warning.
Behind you is a desk. If anyone would like to sign a guest book, feel free to grab a letter and fill it out. Drop boxers right there to the side, or there's one out front if you'd like to make a donation.
Sure, we take any and all donations
Oh,
here.
I'm gonna donate you guys one of our magazines that we just released.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's exciting.
I donated you silver because I don't feel comfortable giving people magazines for payment for a wonderful tour.
Well,
but,
I do. So,
I mean, if B wants
get fucked, Kai. Get fucked.
Any and all is appreciated. There's
Yeah.
no
You know, the
donation
magazine is good
required.
read. I'm sure you guys would, enjoy it and whatnot. So, yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for
I would love to
touring the
run you a guest too,
museum.
but I think
Please
guests is doing
visit
that over there.
again.
Sorry. Yep. Walk around. I want to ride it too.
Heed the warnings.
Oh, yes, that's right. Thank you, Elias.
Thank you so much. It was a lovely talk.
It was fantastic. Thank you so much.
We're so glad to have you here today. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for listening to our warnings.
Of course, of course. You're right, Flint.
I
Has he been cursed? Oh. To make sure it's not at your back.
exactly.
Two more, Elias. They're just writing reviews.
Wait, don't. Is that where you gotta put it?
Yeah.
You don't have to put it on the table? I wanna write it on too. I think you gotta put it on the table, right? Right, so I can write it on too.
Oh, those are the blank ones.
Oh, I'm confused.
You take a blank letter and you can put it in the box.
Oh,
to the
I thought it was an actual like book thing that you wrote in. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
I was right. She was wrong. So I'm okay with it.
Okay, you know what, Finn? You know what, rude. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, though. It was so entertaining and educational.
Thank you for
Thank you
touring
for
the
coming.
museum. Please
Thank
you for
visit
having us,
again.
guys.
Yes, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. It was so, educational. Even if I'm now terrified a little bit of spiders.
No, we don't mean to terrify anyone. And we'll be sure to give other warnings to other people as well.
Oh, yes, we'll do. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Bye,
thank you very
thank you.
much. Have a good night.
Yeah, see the
Hope
warnings.
you guys have a splendid night. Thank you.
Did Kai and Flink come out?
Right, Elias, I think that's the end of the tour tonight.
It was nice of you to give another one.
Oh, okay.
Oof, I jumped the fence, Elias. I'm very spry. I've got a lot of energy.
You still got it going on.
Oh, hey, can I catch your names real quick, just in case, like, we end up writing something about this?
Yes, sure, my name's Boggert.
And
This is my brother Boggert.
we're twins.
Could you spell that out for us, perhaps?
Boggert, Boggatha. Boggert.
And how do you spell mine?
Hi, I hope you're getting that because I'm drunk. Yeah.
And Boggert. Boggert is Boggert. We're fraternal twins, brother and sister.
I'm the oldest.
Yeah, he's old.
Does he always tell you how he's the older sibling and just drive you crazy about it? Because my sister does that to me nonstop.
When he was born, we had been in the womb together for so long, I held on to his ankles and I wouldn't let him go.
Aw, that's sweet.
You say he was in the womb for so long. How long were you in there? Like, years?
No.
She's only 15 minutes younger than me.
Just 15 minutes younger.
Oh, okay.
We were born about the same time. We are 100 years old, however. We're very old. We don't just look it.
Oh, I never would have thought that. I thought you weren't, a day over 90.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you.
Yeah, we haven't touched that youth juice.
The old youth juice. You stay away from that stuff, that old nasty stuff.
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely won't go near that stuff that I already went near. What?
Well, you don't need that stuff anyways, because there's a strange sickness that afflicts everyone. You either get extremely young or extremely old when you shimmer.
Yeah.
It's happening at the shimmer. That adds even more layers to that strange shimmer figure. We think possibly We think that the shimmer figure's trying to make everyone younger when they cross, and it doesn't always happen the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, for
doesn't
sure.
it?
Yeah, we got pirated just the other day, and for some reason I looked younger, and Bagatha and Tansy, another citizen of our town, looked old, and they called them elderly.
So stay
Oh,
away from the
How dare
elderly.
they?
Stay away from the elderly women. Poor Tansy, she's so young and vibrant.
oh, poor thing. Yeah, that damn shimmer creature, evil, just pure evil.
It is.
Yeah,
It's just trying to live. It can't help it.
maybe, but still, you know, you can live without making me old and frail.
Trying to live out there with its hands ready to grab and drag. Oh,
Yep, just wants to give you a hug.
I don't want a hug from
hugged off the ship.
Exactly.
You know what I want to hug? I want to hug a Gorgon. That's what I
Wait,
wanna
what?
hug.
Why do you want to hug a Gorgon?
I could
That
hug
sounds like
They're
interesting.
slithery and they got boob.
slithery.
They're just misunderstood.
They're just misunderstood.
I think
You
you're
know, you know
mistaken.
they do say if you hug a Gorgon, and they like you, you can turn their heart back from stone.
There you go. Yeah,
I believe in you, B.
I'll do it. I'll fucking do it.
You can try. You can always try.
You're so right. I just gotta find the right one. I mean, the first one might not be the right one, but the next
Well,
one, the
try.
next one, the next one.
Yeah.
You plan on finding more than one Gorgon in your lifetime.
I
That's quite the feat.
plan on finding so many Gorgons in my life. Just so many.
You're gonna fight them with hugs?
Never settle. Never settle, man. Never settle. Just no.
Okay, if you say so.
First, you
Yeah.
wanted to find a nice lady, then you wanted to find a nice savior, and now I feel like you're really slipping down the slope to Gorgon. Like, where are you
Kai,
gonna end
you're
up?
the one.
Like,
Kai, you're the one who said I like Savior.
I was
I
not the one who
never
said you
said I
like
like
savior. That
savior.
was
Yeah, no,
someone
that was
else
me.
here. That was
I
someone.
never.
Hey, monsters need loving too.
Friendly
True.
Gorgon.
Yes,
What
they
did
do.
We've often wondered what the two Gorgons talk about, you know? One Gorgon meets another Gorgon along the coastline. What do they have conversations about?
I
Probably
thought
talk
you were
about how
gonna
the
say.
fire elemental's so hot.
Honestly, yeah.
It's so hot here again today. I wish that elemental would leave.
Right? Yeah.
You think they throw stones?
Ugh, they could.
Maybe.
Or they're complaining about ogres throwing stones.
Or that.
Ugh.
So many possibilities.
Okay, though I need to get food up.
Alright, well, we should probably go though. Thank you guys so much for the tour though.
Yes,
That
thank
was
you
very
again.
You're very welcome. Inform others out there on the seas that we're here trying.
definitely.
We might write an article.
Yeah, we
Maybe,
might actually have
probably,
an article
possibly.
about you guys coming up in our next week's edition. You guys should definitely write or be the one that we you know, shoved in your little, you know, box in there. Yeah.
Oh, bring us back a copy, please.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
And safe travels to you.
Yeah, you
I
as
see
well.
you.
Well, you're not traveling anywhere. I don't know if you are. But,
No, I'm going to go to sleep
yeah.
soon. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry if you're keeping you up. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I hope you guys have a good day. Thank you
you too.
so much for the tour.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.
Good night.
birds. Not gonna. Everybody else has gone to bed. Oh, you're still awake.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to retire for the evening, so
Alrighty. It was good seeing you.
it's good seeing you too. Did you need anything before I head out?
No, thank you.
Okay. Have a good night.
Yeah, good night.
Good night, Elias.
Good night, Boggert.
Okay, thanks everyone for joining me today. It's been a long day. We've so thanks for joining me tonight. That's going to end the stream. We'll be back at it tomorrow. More tours scheduled. Maybe get out a little bit. Never know. So, word's getting out. And so thanks everyone. Have a good night. Bye now.